Right, this is the answers, the solutions via video of the algebraic fractions homework. So, question 1, you just have to simplify this one fully. So first thing you do is factorize the top and the bottom, which gives us 2x and x. And then we need to get 5, but we also need them to add together to give 9. So that's going to be 5 and 1, I'm guessing. And then we'll get 10x positive, but we need to take away 1x all over, and then factorize the bottom here. This one's easier to factorize. X squared, we need 15, but with a difference of 2, so that's going to be 5 and 3. Positive 2, so we need a positive 5, take away 3. And then we cancel out any factors that we see. There we go. And it leaves us with the final answer of 2x minus 1 all over x minus 3. You can't then cancel out these x's because they're not factors. You've got to leave it like that. That's a nice 3 easy marks. Next question is question 2. It's a bit smaller. We have to express it as a single fraction in its simplest form. It's a multiplication, and when you're multiplying fractions, it is top times top, bottom times bottom, but don't do that just yet. You want to factorize everything that can be factorized, and then cancel out, see if you can cancel out first, and I'm guessing you'll be able to. So, this top bit here will go to x and x. Again, 15, that's 5 and 3, but we need minus 8, so that's minus 5 and minus 3. All over x squared minus 9, you need to recognise that's the difference of 2 squares. So that's x plus 3 and x minus 3. And you're multiplying that with, you can factorise this, you can take out a common factor of 2x, which leaves x plus 3, and then that's factorised as far as it can go, and the bottom is already done. So what can we cancel out? There's an x minus 3 here and an x minus 3. There's nothing else we can do with this fraction. However, there's an x minus 5 up here on the top, and there's an x minus 5 on the bottom here, so we can cancel that out and one of these out, so we'll just get rid of the squared bit. There's an x plus 3 here and an x plus 3 on the bottom. That basically means that this fraction, I'm going to say disappears, but really it's replaced with a 1 multiplied by that, so you can kind of ignore it. So we're just left with this thing here, which is 2x all over x minus 5. Again, you can't cancel these x's out because the x on the bottom, it isn't a factor of x minus 5. So that's 4 marks for that. Next question, question 3. Now, on the homework, I know I changed it to a plus for the only reason that I don't think I had a plus 1 in there, so I changed it to a plus. I then realised that it didn't make the question very nice. It just, you couldn't simplify it at the end. You couldn't do much with it. So then I changed it back to minus. So I will have to do it both ways. So first of all, you want to factorise everything you can see. And what the problem was with this in the homework, a lot of people didn't factorise this 3x squared minus 3. So they had quite a difficult common denominator and made algebraic errors. So we need to factorise, and it does factorise because this bit on the bottom here, if you take 3 out, you end up with x squared minus 1, and of course x squared minus 1 can be written the difference of 2 perfect squares, x minus 1, x plus 1, so you can put that on the bottom. So we've got 3 lots, don't forget the 3, x minus 1, x plus 1. Oops. And then we're subtracting 1 over 3x plus 1, and because we factorised the bottom bit, we can cancel out the x plus 1 and the x plus 1 because it's a factor. I can replace that with 1 and get rid of that, and then it means that the fraction's a bit simpler now. So we'll keep with the subtraction, and then I'll show you what you would get if you did do my homework and it was add. So we've got 1 over 3 lots of x minus 1, subtract 1 over 3x plus 1. So the common denominator is going to have to be, let's put it here. We need a 3 and an x minus 1. And we need 3x plus 1. We'll put brackets around it. That's the lowest common denominator. We need that and that. Now, I'm going to change colour. I wouldn't advise you do it in an exam, but just so you can see where the bits are coming from. We need to change these fractions so that they're both over this common denominator. So the first one, that's already over a 3 and an x minus 1, but it needs an extra one of these. It needs a 3x plus 1 on the bottom. So if I just write it here, small 3x plus 1, so it now has one of these on the bottom, so it does have this common denominator. However, if we're going to multiply the bottom by 3x plus 1, which you have to do the same to the top to keep the fraction equivalent. I know it doesn't look very tidy, but here this fraction is now 1 lot of 3x plus 1 over 3 lots of x minus 1, 3x plus 1. We're going to do the same with the second one. That's already over 3x plus 1, but it needs to be over this 3 and this x minus 1. So I'm going to add that in, or multiply the bottom by that. It's better. So we're going to have a 3 and an x minus 1. Put it in any order you want. Make sure you put the same on top. Now that's a 1, and we're going to multiply it by a 3. And an x minus 1. So now both these fractions are over this common denominator, so we just need to subtract. I'm going to go back to my original colour. So on the top of this, it was 1 lot of 3x plus 1, which is just 3x plus 1. Now be careful here, because we're subtracting 1 lot of 3 lots of that. So basically 3 lots of x minus 1. So we're taking away 3x. And then be careful with this bit, because you're going 3 times minus 1, which is minus 3. Because you're taking it away, it's going to become plus 3. There's quite a few people get this bit wrong here. Now, on the bottom, on the next line, sorry, we're going to simplify this. That's a 3x, take away 3x. So we've just got 1 plus 3, which is 4. And we still have this common denominator of 3 lots of x minus 1, 3x plus 1. And that's your final answer there, if we're doing it the subtraction way. You can't cancel anything down. If you did my homework and I changed it to a plus, then we'll just recycle some of what we've got. We would have to have done, let's put it here, we would have had 3x plus 1 on the top of the fraction, but we would have added this 3x minus 3. And it still would have been over this common denominator. Oops, that's a 1. So the top would have just been 6x minus 2 all over this bottom bit here. So 1. So that would have been the final answer if we'd done it as a plus. And this is the final answer if you'd done it like it was, subtract here. And you can see you could factorize this and take 2 out as a common factor, but it won't do anything with that. So whichever way the question was written in your homework, you'll see which one is the correct answer. Question 4. This one was done pretty well. Where people got confused, who did get confused, was this function notation. That's irrelevant to your question. You'll understand more about function notation when you do functions. With me, most of you. How lucky. This just says there's a function of x, and this is it. And it's only a function if x satisfies these conditions, which again, you'll learn a bit more about this later. And you have to show that the function of x can be simplified as that. So you've got to do the same with this. And this is a subtract one. So factorise everything in sight. There's not much to factorise here. We've got 3 lots of x plus 1 over, and if you factorise this, you get 2x and x. You get 4. You want 4, so that's probably going to be a 4 and a 1, and that gives us 8x and minus a 1x. Right? Subtract 1 over x plus 4. See if you can cancel out anything down first. You can't. So the common denominator, well, on the left here we need a 2x minus 1, and we also need an x plus 4. And if we look on the right here, we need an x plus 4, but that's already covered by the one we've already got. So this is the lowest common denominator. I'm going to change colours so you can see clearly what I'm doing. We now need to change these fractions so that they're over this common denominator. Now this first one is already over the common denominator, so that's fine. We don't need to change that one. This one, however, it's over an x plus 4. We need to make it over a 2x minus 1. And if we're multiplying the bottom by 2x minus 1, we've got to do the same with the top. And now we can subtract them. Just like before, be careful with subtraction that it applies to everything in the bracket. We've got 3x plus 3 from the first one. And then we're taking away 1 times 2x, so that's taking away 2x. And we've got 1 times minus 1, which is minus 1, but we're taking that away, so it's going to be plus 1. 3x take away 2x leaves you with x. Plus 3 and plus 1 is plus 4. I forgot it was a show that question. You can see we're going to get the right answer. 2x minus 1 and x plus 4. And then cancel out any common factors. There's an x plus 4 and an x plus 4. Don't leave your answer like that. Okay? There has to be a 1 on the top. So that's 2x minus 1. So it's 1 over 2x minus 1, which is what we've got written there. Just a word with show that questions. There was at least one person who lost marks on the homework because they jumped from this stage, I think, straight to that stage. And because it's a show that question, you run the risk of the person marking your paper think maybe you've got a bit stuck here and you don't know what to do, so you're just going to quickly write the answer that you're meant to have, and I think they'll take marks off you for that. So make sure you do show every step, especially with a show that question. That was number 4. Number 5, few people got this one wrong, and it's because they ignored the 1 and then tried to deal with it at the end. And you can do that, but it's much better to just get it all over a common denominator. See if anything cancels out first. It doesn't in this case, so then just get it all over a common denominator. So we've got all this, and it's something, subtract something, add something. We need the lowest common denominator. Nothing cancels out. So this third fraction is over an x minus 2, x plus 4. So in fact what I'm going to do, just going to probably end up changing my mind in a minute. Let's have a look. So we need it all over. Yeah, I'm going to write it out again. I wasn't going to, but it's too small up here. Right, let's write the question out. So it's 1 subtract x plus 4 add x minus 8 all over x minus 2 x plus 4. This stuff here is irrelevant to what we're doing. It's just other stuff, function stuff. So the lowest common denominator that we're going to have is, well, there's an x minus 2 and x plus 4. I wonder if I can fit that on here. I'll have a go. Oops. So x minus 2, x plus 4, and that covers this fraction here. This one has an x plus 4, that's already covered. And this one doesn't have anything, so that's fine. So we're going to have to now get them all over this lowest common denominator. I'm going to change my pen. So this one, brilliant, it's already over our common denominator. This one needs an x minus 2. I'm going to scrunch it up here. Make sure you multiply the top by that as well. And this one going to need extra small writing here. It needs the whole works. It needs the x minus 2 and it needs the x plus 4. But we need to put that on the top as well. X minus 2, we're just multiplying it by 1. There we go. Now it's a case of multiplying it out. Be careful when you take away this, and you need to add this. So if you multiply this, we're going to get x squared minus 2x plus 4x, so that'll be plus 2x minus 8. We're taking away 2 lots of x, and then we're taking away 2 lots of minus 2, so we're taking away minus 4, that's plus 4. And then we're adding, which is nice, x minus 8. Add on x minus 8. Squeeze that up there. Oops. I don't know why I'm in red again. Right, so we've got an x squared. We've got a plus 2x but a minus 2x. We've got add x. We've got minus 8 plus a 4 minus another 8. So I think that is minus 12. And it's all over this x minus 2, x plus 4. Nearly there. We've got to show that it's x minus 3, x minus 2. And you should know this factorizes to x and x, 4 and 3, plus 4 minus 3, over the same thing again. Look, I'm not missing out steps because to show that question, I don't want them thinking I've fudged the answers just to match theirs. And then the bits that cancel out is this, and I'm just going to rewrite it as x minus 3, therefore x minus 3, x minus 2. So there's 5 marks there. I think where people, like I say, people lost marks. The signs again, people lost marks, but just not right expressing this 1 over the common denominator. Last one, 4 marks. It is, you've given that this is true, given that this is identical to this, find the values of a, b, c, d, and e. So you've got to write this as that. This is an improper fraction. There's 2 things that give the game away that's an improper fraction. First thing is that the highest power on this polynomial on the top is a 4, whereas the highest thing on the bottom is a 2. So it's definitely improper, because an improper fraction in algebra is either if the power is higher or equal to the one on the bottom. It makes a top-heavy fraction. The second clue that it's improper is because you've got this divided by this is this, which is your answer bit, plus your remainder back over what you're dividing by. So this is how many times that x squared minus 1 goes into that. So you need to do some long division. Some people do the division by using the remainder theorem. I just think it's much easier and less to remember personally to do the long division. So we've got 2x to the 4. Now there aren't any x cubeds. You can write plus no x cubed. That usually helps them line up. I tried it like this and actually it doesn't even help them line up in this case, but you can't put plus no x cubed. I'm just going to go straight in with take away 3x squared plus x plus 1. Just be careful when you do have missing powers. When you subtract, they might not be perfectly lined up. You might have to use some common sense. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Right, when you're dividing, it's always just the first term that you divide by. So how many x squareds go to 2x to the 4? Or what do you multiply x squared by to get to 2x to the 4? X squared times x squared gives you x to the 4. You need a 2. You can check that that's correct, because what you do next is you have to multiply this out by both of these terms and take it away from that. And what should always happen is when you multiply that by this, that's 2x to the 4. You should always get the same and they'll cancel out. Remember, you have to times the minus 1 by that as well. So it's minus 2x squared. Oh, and these do line up. It's very nice. So this take away this gets rid of it. Minus 3x squared take away minus 2x squared actually leaves you to minus x squared. A couple of people had positive x squared. X take away nothing still leaves you x. 1 take away nothing, you still got 1. So this is when you're a polynomial. We need to repeat it again. X squared into minus x squared goes minus 1. Multiply this new term out. Minus 1 times x squared is minus x squared. Minus 1 times minus 1 is plus 1. And subtract them. That, take away minus x squared, cancels them out. Now these don't line up here, but use your common sense, and some people left it like that. Look, you've got the 1 there and you're taking away a 1, so this does cancel out. Then you've got x, take away, there's nothing here, so you just get left with x. Then you can't go x squared into x, the power is too small now, so this is your remainder here. But you must finish the question by writing it like this. So this divided by this equals, well, the answer is on the top. So it's 2x squared minus 1 plus, and then this is your remainder goes on top, and it's always over what you're dividing by in the first place. If that confuses you, just think of something like 7 divided by 3. The answer is 2, and the remainder is 1, and it goes back over what you were dividing by, so it'll be 2 1/3. It's just exactly the same with algebra. Let's get rid of that. Doesn't confuse anybody. So we're nearly there. You'd probably get full marks for that, but it does say find the values of a, b, c, d, and e. So actually write what they are. So a is this number here, 2. That's how many x squareds you've got. Oops. B is how many x's you've got here, and there's none. C is the constant bit of this, which is minus 1. D is how many x's you've got on top, which is 1. And E is the constant bit, which is also 0. And that's that done for 4 marks. Finished. Voila.